Alright, yes. Hello guys. Of course, this is, eto na. Ang pinakahuling ration natin. Yes, this is the last part of our rationalization of your pre-exam. And of course, alam na natin ang mga scores natin sa pre-exam tuloy. Sa post-exam natin. Yes, and I'm very happy that lahat kayo ay in general tumaas. Yes. So, yung mga ganyang bagay talaga ang um, nakakapagdulot ng fulfillment in this kind of job. So, masaya ako dahil, of course, mataas kayong lahat. Diba? Tumaas ang mga scores natin. So, sabi ko nga, diba, magpursige lang kayo. Okay, yes. So, manood lang kayo ng mga discussions and you would be able to really get a lot. Kaya sabi ko kanina, before kayong mag-start na mag-exam, sabi ko hindi ako magtataka kung merong mga makaka-line of 9 or makaka-line of 8. Yes. Kasi ibig sabihin, talagang nag-aral kayo. Okay, so yeah, I hope na hindi kayo tamarin na mag-aral. Yes, bawal ang tamad guys, or else hindi tayo matututo. Okay? And I really do appreciate po yung effort talaga, yes, ng entire batch to really learn. Yeah. So, sulit ang pagod nating lahat kasi ang tataas ng mga scores ninyo. Okay, so just maintain that kind of willingness to learn. Yes, dapat open-minded tayong lahat para matuto, di ba, ng mga bagong kaalaman. Okay? So, yon, I'm very, very happy po. Yes, and yeah, you made me very happy today. Okay, so let's start with our last ratio. And we will be discussing, of course, your RA 9165. So this is otherwise referred to as your Comprehensive Dangerous Drugs Act of 2002. So this was signed into law last parang lately lang okay, nung June 7, 2002. Okay, ayan. So actually, of course, last day ngayon ng ating board exam at yung mga board examinees natin, pumunta sila sa lab and then they shared po na lumabas ang year kung kailan na isabatas ang ating 5527. Okay, so do not forget, 1969, lumabas po yan. Alright, so nagtatanong talaga sila ng mga dates, di ba? Kung kailan na-approve or na-sign yung ating mga batas. Okay, so of course, habang marami pa tayong panahon, so i-memorize na natin lahat ng mga dates kung kailan na-approve yung mga batas natin. Okay? Ayan. So, in relation to your RA 9165, the different implementing rules and regulations of this particular law is, of course, yes, of course, okay. Sino or anong agency ang naglalabas ng IRRs ng ating 9165? We have your Dangerous Drugs Board. Okay, Dangerous Drugs Board, which is an agency that is under the office of the President. Okay, ayan. Okay, so tignan na natin ang iba't ibang mga katanungan about dito sa batas na ito. Alright, so the first question po, an individual who undergoes drug testing is referred to as wala palang an dapat dyan, okay? Is referred to as a, number 1, donor, subject, client, or patient. So ito po ay lumabas nung 2021 board exam. Ano daw ang tawag sa individual na nagpapadrug test? Okay? So ang sagot dyan ay 1, 2, and 3 are correct. Okay? Hindi po patient ang tawag natin. Diba? Yes, hindi po patient ang tawag natin sa mga individuals na nagpapadrug test. Ang tawag natin sa kanila ay pwedeng donor, pwedeng subject, or pwedeng client. Okay, so that's why, yes, for this item, ang sagot po ay letter C, 1, 2, and 3 are correct. Okay? Yes. Alright, so pwede din po nating basahin yung definition of terms. Okay, definition of terms ng 9165. Yes, so aside from that, lumabas na din yung mga terms na pusher. Ayan, ano ang pusher? Okay, so makikita nyo po yan doon po sa ating definition of terms. Okay, ayan, pusher. Ano kaya ang ibig sabihin ng pusher? Okay, all right. And then we proceed, of course, to the next question. The following are procedures instructed to the client prior to specimen collection except. Okay, guys, yes. Sabi nga ni Luis, 'di ba? Luis, hello Luis. Yes. One question, 30 minutes. Okay? So itong question na to medyo mahaba-haba ang ating isusulat or itatype. Yes. Yes, of course. Para handang-handa tayo sa post to bukas. Okay? So I just want to emphasize that there are two types of specimen collection. Right? All right. So what are the two types of specimen collection? So first, we have your observed specimen collection. So observed specimen collection, this is done in the presence, okay, of our authorized specimen collector. Okay? And pag sinabi nating observed, this is done in the presence of your authorized specimen collector. And then of course, aside from that, we also have our unobserved, okay, specimen collection. Okay, ayan. So of course, pag sinabi nating unobserved, this is not done in the presence of your authorized specimen collector. Okay? Especially if for example, hindi pwedeng or there are some circumstances which would prevent, 'di ba, the donor, the client, or the subject from collecting his or her specimen in the laboratory. Okay, yeah. So, pwede din kasi na ang specimen collection, it can also happen in jail, 'di ba? It can also happen in jail lang talaga yung naisip ko. Okay, or in other remote facilities apart from your drug testing center or drug testing laboratory. Okay, and in those instances, ang type of specimen collection na nangyayari ay unobserved. Okay, ayan. So since we are already talking about our specimen, authorized specimen collector, remember na ang ating authorized specimen collector, ang minimum requirement as to his or her educational background is that he or she should at least be a high school graduate. Okay, and then of course, in order for him or her to become an authorized specimen collector, he or she, yes, talaga naman, napaka naman, di ba? Very gender sensitive, okay? He or she should undergo the proper training. Okay, so after which, pwede na po siyang maging authorized specimen collector. All right, so what are the specific jobs of an authorized specimen collector? So number one, siya po ang taga-prepare, di ba? Prepare and secure supplies, okay, materials, yes, and records. Right, and records po. So aside from that, your authorized specimen collector should be the one to verify the client's, okay, verify the client's identification. All right. Yeah, in relation to identification pala, may I just share at itinanong din sa board exam, what is the purpose of presenting your ID during blood donation? Okay, ano kaya ang purpose? Okay, bakit natin pre-represent ang ating ID, 'di ba? Pag magdo-donate tayo. Okay? Yes. So the correct answer to that is ano? For photographic identification. Okay, yes. Na ikaw talaga yung taong iyon, di ba? Titignan nila ang iyong pagmumukha. Ito ba talaga si Kathleen Joy Rosalia Gili? Ayan. So, para malaman nila yon, you have to present your ID. Okay? Alright. So, aside from that, so your authorized specimen collector is also the one that should explain basic collection procedure. Okay, explain basic collection procedure to our donor, our client, or our subject. Okay, and in addition to that, your authorized specimen collector should be able to answer any reasonable, okay, and appropriate questions. Okay, and appropriate questions of course, our donor, yes, our donor, subject, or clients. All right, so those are the different functions of your authorized specimen collector. Okay, yes, of course, so that we will know more about specimen collection. So of course, I will just be discussing yung para sa ating urine collection. Okay, yes. Kasi urine is, kumbaga parang siya kasi yung pinaka most common type of specimen or sample that we process for drug testing, di ba? That we collect for drug testing. Okay, yes. So that's why, yes, of course, we have to make sure that the integrity of our urine sample for drug testing is maintained. Okay, so what are the basic steps in urine collection for drug testing? So of course, yeah, ang daming of course. Okay, so ito yung kumbaga ipapagawa ni authorized specimen collector. Okay, so client should removes all unnecessary. Okay, removes all unnecessary outer garments. Okay? Uy, guys, tandaan natin to. Outer garments. Ang sinasabi dito, hindi inner garments. So, pag sinabi nating outer garments, so we are talking about coats and jackets. Okay? So, after ipatanggal ang iyong coat or ang iyong jacket, the next thing that will be done is your client will be subjected to bodily search. So, ibig sabihin, kakapkapan yung client, donor, or subject natin. Okay? Yes. So, what is the purpose? Of course, what is the purpose of bodily search? Bakit natin kailangang kapkapan ang ating mga client, donor, or subject? Okay, so take note that the purpose of bodily search is to deter, diba? Iwasan, i-prevent. Ano ang i-deter natin? Adulteration. Okay, so to deter adulteration or ano ba yan? Okay, adulteration or tampering, diba? Or substitution. Okay? Yes, substitution of our sample or of the client sample. Okay? Siyempre, di ba, dapat ipatanggal mo yung jacket or coat niya. Otherwise, baka mamaya, ay nako, maraming bulsa pala yung jacket niya and then nagtago siya, di ba? Ng substance, okay, ng powder, or nagtago siya ng ibang ihe doon sa kanyang jacket or kanyang coat. Yes, tapos ipapalit niya doon sa sample niya dapat. Okay, so in order to deter, yes, that kind of actuation, okay, and to preserve the integrity of your specimen, particularly in this case, it's your urine sample, you have to patanggal, ma'am, ng coat at saka jacket, at saka takapatan. Okay, yes. So next thing is the specimen collector will ask the client to, or the client is asked to empty pockets. Okay, so syempre, say for example, naka-polo siya, di ba? Yes, naka-polo yung ating specimen tuloy, yung ating client, okay? Or nakapantalon siya, di ba? So may mga pockets po yan. So the client will be asked to empty his or her pockets. And then after which, check the items, di ba? Check the items that have been found in his or her pockets, okay? So what is the purpose of this? The purpose is the same as the purpose in number 1. So to deter adulteration, tampering, or substitution. All right, yes. And then the next one, your client washes, okay, and dries hands thoroughly. Okay, yes. Bakit naman thoroughly or thoroughly? Okay, yes. Bakit naman kailangang maghugas ni client? At kailangang super dry yung kanyang mga kamay. Okay, ganito kasi yan, class. There are some powdered, okay, powdered adulterants. Pag sinabi natin adulterant, these are substances which may lead to adulteration. Okay? So meron pong mga powdered form yan na minsan sinisiksik nila sa mga kuko. O, di ba? Sinisiksik ng mga clients natin or donors natin or subjects natin sa mga kuko nila. Oo, and then after nilang makakuha ng kanilang urine sample, parang itatatak nilang ganun. Okay, gaganon nila yung kuko nila. Syempre nahulog na yung adulterant doon sa urine sample. Okay, so that's why clients should wash their hands. Okay, should wash their hands. Lalo ngayon, nauuso yung mga, alam yung mga kuko ng mga babae, di ba? Yung ano, yung super haba. Okay, nauuso yung mga ganyan ngayon. Okay, so mamaya, meron palang nakatagong adulterant doon sa kuko niya. Okay, so aside from that, of course, after washing yung hands, it should be dried. Okay, the hands rather should be dried thoroughly. Okay, yes, baka mamaya basang-basa pa yung kamay niya. So remember that water is a very common diluting agent or diluting substance. Yes, baka mamaya sinadya niya, di ba, na sobrang basang-basa yung kamay niya and then later on, pipigain niya yung kamay niyang ganyan. Okay, so mahulog na yung mga tubig-tubig, di ba, doon sa kanyang urine sample. Okay, and of course, pag gano'n naman, it will lead to dilution. Okay, yes. Guys, magkaiba po ang adulteration at saka dilution. So mamaya, I think i-explain ko siya. Yes, mamaya pa talaga. Okay, yes. Para hindi 30 minutes per slide. Okay? Alright. So after that, so kung nakapag-wash na siya ng hands, ang next na gagawin natin, okay, the next step would be the authorized specimen collector gives, okay, gives, or, okay, the client may be allowed to select a container. Okay, yes, the container. So the authorized specimen collector gives the container or the client may be allowed to select the container. Okay, so pag ginagawa itong step na to, make sure, nahatching ako guys, wait lang ha, pag nahatching ako, sorry ha. Okay, make sure na the authorized specimen collector should open the container, okay, in order to remove doubts. Na like for example, may ibang laman na yung container, okay, yes. So baka mamaya, pag hindi mo yan inopen, and it turned out na, say for example, nag-positive yung ating donor, client or subject, pwede niyang sabihin, baka naman ibang sample yun. Or baka naman sabihin niya, baka naman may laman na yung container. Ganyan, ganyan. Okay, di ba? Ayan. So, ito, it gives protection to the authorized specimen collector as well as the client. Okay, so ano yung gagawin ulit? Ala, sinisipon ako. Okay. Ano yung gagawin ulit natin? So, the container should be opened by the authorized specimen collector and in full view of the donor or of the client or subject. So, dapat makita ni authorized specimen collector at saka ni client yung container mismo. Ano ang dapat nilang makita doon? Na walang laman yung container. Okay, na bago yung container. Alright, so otherwise, yes, magkakaroon kasi ng doubts later on, especially kung nag-positive yung sample or yung specimen. So, pwedeng i-claim ni client na, hindi ko naman alam kung talagang walang laman yan. Di ba? Ganun. Alright. Yes. And then, number 5, sana kasya pa siya dito. Okay. So, number 5, your client will now be directed, okay, is directed to go to the toilet for urination. Okay, so iihin na siya doon sa, of course, doon sa ating collection area. Okay, and take note that what should be the volume of urine that is to be provided by the client, donor, or subject. So it should provide, or he or she should provide 60 ml of urine. Okay, so there are 2 types of urine samples. One that is collected in a single container. So kung single container lang siya or single collection, 60 ml. Okay, and then pwede din po na split specimen. Okay, yes. So pag sinabi nating split specimen, dalawang containers each with 30 ml. So kung 30 ml times 2, 60 ml pa din. So that's why, according to our law, okay, what should be the volume of the urine sample for drug testing? It should be 60 ml. Okay, yes. All right. Yeah, kaya nga pag ang tinatanong or in relation to the board exam here in the Philippines, ang correct answer ay 60 ml because we are governed, okay, by your 9165. Diba? Yes, ang sabi ni 9165 dapat 60 ml. Okay, ayan. Pero later on, pag mag-take kayo ng ASCPI, syempre, ASCPI is not naman within the context of Philippine laws, right? So, sa ASCPI, ang correct answer ay 45 ml. Alright? Yes. So, pag sinabi nating observe collection, the authorized specimen collector will observe the entire procedure. And then, ang gagawin niya, your authorized specimen collector should take note of the client's demeanor. So, ano bang itsura niya nung umiihi siya? Ganyan, nung nagpo-collect siya ng kanyang urine sample. Ano ba itsura niya? Yes, kinakabahan ba siya? Di ba? Ninenervyos ba siya? Nag-shake ba siya? Okay, ganun. Okay, so dapat i-take note lahat yan ng authorized specimen collector. Okay, yes. Guys, pag ito clinic ko, mawawala. Ay, hindi naman mawawala, pero hindi na siya masyadong kita. Okay, so anyway, we can now answer yung ating tanong. Okay, so ang hinahanap po natin dito ay exempt. Alright? Removal of outer garments such as coats and jackets. Yes, pinapagawa po yan. So, hindi yan exception. Removal of purse or briefcase. Okay, yes. Actually, pinapagawa din po ito. Yes, so you cannot bring your purse or your briefcase. Yeah, I think I forgot to include this in number 1. Okay, yes. So aside from the outer garments, hindi din pwedeng magdala ng purse or briefcase. Okay, yes. Kasi syempre pwedeng may laman na iba, di ba? Yung briefcase or yung purse. Next, washing and drying of hands thoroughly. Okay, yes, pinapagawa din po yan. And then lastly, flushing the toilet before handing the specimen. Okay, ayan. Hindi po yan pinapagawa. Okay, hindi po pinapa-flush ang toilet. And then probably another practical consideration that you can think of when you answer this question is that yung mga toilet natin or yung mga urinals natin or even yung mga faucet na nandoon sa may collection area, okay? Wala naman dapat umaagos na tubig dyan. Diba? Yes, one way in order for us to prevent dilution is of course to secure water sources in our collection area. Okay, yes. So hindi po yung number 4. Naku ha, flushing the toilet before handling the specimen. All right. So in this case, siya po yung exception. Tama? Yes, kasi hindi yan pinapagawa. So the correct answer here is letter E, only 4 is correct. Okay? All right. So let us now move on. Next question. Ay, asan na? Okay, ito. All right. Which of the following is not true regarding urine collection and handling for drug testing? Okay, yes. So take note that in the laboratory, we have different types of samples, di ba? Or for drug testing. So ang concern lang natin dito ay urine, right? So take note class ha, ano ba ang gamit ng urine sample natin when it comes to drug testing? Kasi there are different reasons. Reasons for conducting drug testing. So for our urine sample, so ginagamit po usually ito for random and mandatory testing here in the Philippines. Okay, so random and mandatory testing. Okay, ang ginagamit natin ay urine. Alright. So there are also other samples that you can use. Okay? So take note, pag ang pinag-uusapan natin ay yung urine sample, yes, what should be the volume again for your urine sample? So 60 ml pag single collection. Okay? For your single collection. And then for our split collection, okay, or split specimen, 30 ml each container, okay, for split collection, okay, or split talaga. Yeah, split, okay, split collection or split specimen. Okay, ayan. So, in addition to that, we should also know what is the proper handling and storage of your urine sample. So take note that for your urine sample, okay, so meron po tayong tinatawag na temporary storage for your urine. Okay? So of course, we have to qualify how temporary is temporary. So pag sinabi nating temporary storage, so it should not be more than 1 day. Okay? It should not be more than 1 day. And in this case, how are you going to store it? You refrigerate it. Okay? At a temperature that is 2 to 6 degrees Celsius. Right? So in addition to your temporary storage, we also have what we call your prolonged storage. Okay? Pag sinabi naman nating prolonged storage, so this is done using your freezer, or you have to freeze. Yes, you have to freeze your sample, okay? And the temperature that is utilized for freezing urine samples for drug testing is -20 degrees Celsius. Okay, yes. So as for the retention of your specimen, yes, meron din kasi dito, ay wala, mamaya pa pala yun. Okay, but anyway, yes, let us now answer this particular question. Okay, sabi po dyan, which of the following is not true? Alright, so according po sa mga na-board exam, marami po ang except, marami ang not. Okay, yes. So dapat wag nating makakalimutan dapat, or wag nating kakalimutan yung not or yung except sa mga questions. Alright, so not true. So the correct answer is sample may be stored at 2 to 6 degrees Celsius for not more than 1 week. So remember that ref temperature is only utilized for temporary storage. And when we say temporary storage, this is not more than 1 day. Hindi po 1 week, 1 day lang. Okay? Next, 60 ml, letter B. 60 ml of sample is collected in a single container. Yes. Diba? Pwede po yan. 30 ml each of sample may be collected in 2 separate containers. Yes. Pwede po yan. Sample may be kept at negative 20 degrees Celsius for prolonged storage. Yes po. Okay, so that is the proper storage of your urine sample. For if you are going to store it for prolonged periods of time. Okay, ayan. Alright, so meaning, so say for example, more than 1 day ang pinag-uusapan natin dito, saan mo dapat siya ilalagay? Ilalagay mo siya sa freezer with the temperature of negative 20 degrees Celsius. Okay, so since we are already talking about your samples, of course, it's also, it is also important that we have to be familiar with the other samples that are utilized for drug testing. Okay, so next, ano yung mga samples? All right, so blood, what is the required volume? So it should be at least 5 ml. Okay, another, we also have your scalp hair. So ang required weight natin is 100 milligrams. Okay, or ang nakalagay po doon, or its equivalent, okay, or its equivalent in number of strands, okay, in number of strands. Yes. And how should you collect your scalp hair? It should be 1 centimeter above the scalp. Bakit kaya 1 centimeter? Kasi guys, remember na madaling tumubo ang hair. Diba? Madali pong tumubo ang hair. And if we are talking about the use of drugs, diba? The abuse of drugs, usually naman, yung kung nasaan yung tinetest natin na metabolite, di ba? Siyempre dahil mabilis mag-grow yung hair, so wala yan sa mga bagong tubo or bagong tubong part ng hairs natin. Okay? Yes. So it might, it would be, or it would yield a better recovery, di ba, of the drug or of the metabolite of the drug if we are going to make use of hair that is 1 centimeter above the scalp. Okay, and okay, so aside from that, pwede din po tayong gumamit ng saliva. Okay, so saliva, the required volume is 2 ml neat specimen. Okay, 2 ml neat specimen. And take note that your 2 ml, okay, it should be made up of 1.5 ml primary specimen, okay, plus 0.5 ml for your challenge test. Okay, for your challenge test. So just like, for example, there is a need for us to perform confirmatory testing, so on and so forth. Okay, yun yung tinatawag natin na challenge test. Okay, so for primary testing, 1.5 ml dapat ang meron. Okay, ayan. So aside from your saliva, we can also collect your sweat. Okay, sweat. Sometimes the term that is utilized for your sweat sample is your patch. Okay, this is because when we collect sweat sample, we make use of a patch. Okay, so 1 patch is adequate, and this patch should be worn for 7 to 14 days. Okay, it should be worn for 7 to 14 days po. Alright, so those are the other specimens that are utilized for drug testing. Okay, ayan. Okay, So next na po tayo is, of course, pinag-usapan natin ang proper handling and storage ng ating urine sample. So it is but just natural for us to also discuss the proper handling and storage of the other types of samples. Okay, so like for example, for your blood, what should you do? You have to separate your serum, okay, and for its storage, it should be frozen, okay? It should be frozen immediately, or you have to freeze it immediately. Okay, so freeze immediately po. Next, we have our scalp hair. So it should be stored in a cool and dry place. Okay? For our tissue naman, kasi there are certain, di ba, there are certain cases in which pwede natin i-test ay yung tissue. So, yung amount ng tissue, it is to be determined. Okay? Yes, it is to be determined po. Yes, depende. There is no specific amount of tissue sample that is specified in our IRR. So, ang nakalagay lang dun ay to be determined. Okay, yes. So, if for example, you are going to process your tissue sample, it should be macerated, and then after which you have to freeze it after maceration. Okay, another, we have for our saliva, it should be, we should store it deep freeze, okay, at deep freeze at -8 to -10 degrees Celsius. Okay, yeah. So yung ating urine, sinabi ko na yan kanina. Okay, ayan. So those are the proper handling and storage of the different samples that we use for drug testing. Okay, so before we move on, yes, wala pa akong 30 minutes per slide. All right, so before we move on, so let me also just add retention of your specimen samples. Okay, yes. So pag ang result ay negative, okay, if for example, the result of the test is negative, the minimum number of days for retention. Ibig sabihin, hindi mo muna siya itatapon. Diba? Hindi mo muna siya itatapon. So, minimum of 5 days after receipt of result. Alright? So, like for example, nag-submit siya ngayon. Okay? And then, yung result niya, na-release kinabukasan. So, kailan yung first day mo? Yung kinabukasan. Kung kailan mo ni-release yung result, yun ang first day mo doon sa 5 days. Okay, ayan. So, if for example naman, yung result ng ating patient ay positive, okay, positive result, or in cases when, yes, it has been established that the sample is adulterated, okay, substituted, or the result is invalid. Okay, so in cases of positive result, adulterated specimen, substituted specimen, or invalid result, okay, ang retention po ng specimen na yan ay 15 days. Okay, so ang retention po ng specimen na yan ay 15 days. Okay, so take note that maximum retention of your sample is up to 1 year, but this is upon request. Okay, so 1 year po upon request. Okay, so another, you have to take note that when you store or when you retain your samples, your specimens or your samples should be kept in a secured location. Okay, yes. Of course, kasi meron pong legal consequence, 'di ba? Yung whatever result na meron tayo or meron yan na ma-obtain natin sa drug testing. So that's why for the retention of your specimens, they have to be kept in a secured location. Okay, ayan. All right, so next, for drug testing, in which of the following conditions is unobserved specimen collection allowed? So remember, a while back, sinasabi ko na, there are certain circumstances in which hindi talaga pwedeng mag-collect. 'Di ba? Hindi pwedeng mag-collect doon sa drug testing facility mismo. Okay, yes, such as in cases when our client is physically unable to go to the laboratory or to the designated collection site. Okay, so in this case, unobserved ang ating urine collection. Okay, so another, if for example, our client is involved in a crime scene. Okay, another po, if the client is involved in post accident. So in post accident. Yes. So syempre, 'di ba, like for example, paano kung siya mismo yung na-aksidente or siya mismo yung naka-aksidente, 'di ba? So in those circumstances, hindi talaga siya pwedeng observe specimen collection. Okay, and then another, if for example, our client is critically ill. Okay, so if you're going to look at the numbered items, donor is critically ill, di ba? Donor is physically unable to go to the lab. Donor is involved in a crime scene. Donor is involved in an accident. Okay, so the correct answer is 1, 2, 3, and 4 are correct. All right. Yan. Ako, bukas magsisilabasan na naman ang mga mamaw. Okay, grabe. Grabe. Bilib na bilib ako sa inyo, guys. Okay, yan. Talagang nag-aral kayo. Yes, I do hope na hindi lang ito sa post 1 ha. Yeah, you maintain it hanggang bukas. Di bale, after naman ng exam ninyo bukas, weekend na. Di ba? Yes, pahinga ng konti and then aral ulit. So sabi ko nga, you have to treat every opportunity that is given to you. Like for example, every quiz, every exam, to be a clean slate. Okay, yes. So nobody but you diba, can determine your scores. Okay, yes. So aral lang guys. Yes, aral lang kayo ng aral. Kung kailangan nyo ng kausap, nandito lang naman din kami. Diba? To be able to help you in whatever way we can. Okay, yes. And super saya ko talaga dahil lahat ng pagod natin ay nasuklian today. Okay, ayan. So if for example, hindi ka satisfied sa score mo today, ayan, may igagaling ka pa, besh. Diba? Yung naka 98 na may igagaling pa yan. Pwede pa siyang mag 100 bukas. Okay, ayan. So laging ganun lang. Okay, yes, laging ganun dapat ang ating mindset. Diba? Always strive to be better. Yes, strive to be better. Kumbaga dapat ano tayo, quality improvement, 'di ba? Kung ano yung limit natin noon, itaas pa natin yung limits natin. Okay, kayang-kaya nyo yan, I'm sure. Lagi ko naman yatang sinasabi to even before, 'di ba, kayo mag-intern. I really see a lot of potential in your batch. Okay, yes. Kayang-kaya yan, guys. Okay? Okay, yes. Kahit sisipon, ganyan. Guys, may allergic rhinitis ako ha. Baka sabihin mo, hala, sinisipon si madam. Okay, huwag kayong judger. Ayan, may allergic rhinitis po ako at saka usually sa gabi siya. Gabi at saka madaling araw. Yes, nag-explain. Okay, all right. So next, a sample for a criminal case-related drug testing was submitted to a confirmatory laboratory. The drug test results should be released within. Okay. Ang general rule natin, class, is that all specimens, habaan na nga natin ito. Yarn. Okay, all specimens submitted, okay, shall have a corresponding lab result issued within 15 days. Okay, yan. Yan ang ating general rule. Lahat po dapat ng specimens natin ay ay ma-release natin yung result niya within 15 days. So, kumbaga yan yung maximum turnaround time, okay, ng ating drug testing. Alright, so take note lang of the following specifications or specifics. Okay, so positive screening, pag nag-positive, di ba? Positive result in the screening test. So ano yung next na gagawin natin pag nag-positive siya? So the sample will be subjected to confirmatory. Yes, dapat i-confirm mo. Okay, and then take note that the final report should be based on, the confirmatory results. Okay? So pag ang pinag-uusapan natin class ay confirmatory result, pag ang pinag-uusapan natin ay confirmatory result, this should be released. Okay, this should be released within 3 to 5 working days upon, lagay natin, upon receipt of your specimen. Alright, however, syempre may double asterisk dyan, di ba? In cases of criminal case related drug testing, the confirmatory result, confirmatory result should be released within 24 hours. Okay, so dapat ma-release na po siya within 24 hours po. Okay, ayan. Ma'am, paano naman pag negative yung result niya? So actually, you just have to follow na all laboratory results should be issued within 15 days. Okay, yeah. So basta ang maximum po natin na turnaround time sa drug testing ay 15 days. Alright, so yan. Alright, now we are ready, yes, of course, to answer the question. So, criminal case related drug testing siya. Okay, so when should you release the results? Within 24 hours after the submission. Okay, the submission of your specimen. Yes. Siyempre, di ba, pag sinabi nating criminal case related kasi, there is a sense of urgency in order to provide the result ASAP. Di ba? Yes. Alright. Okay, next. The confirmatory drug test result should be released to the individual who underwent testing by the, sino daw ang nagre-release? Yung screening laboratory. Okay, why? Kasi, guys, ganito dapat ang tingin natin dyan. When you are going to subject a particular sample for confirmatory, it is like a referral. Referral yan, 'di ba? Sorry, may parang lumilipad. Okay. Referral po yan ng screening laboratory doon sa confirmatory laboratory. Okay, so we follow the rules on referral. Alright, yes. Remember, kanino ba nag-consult? Kumbaga, di ba? Kanino ba nag-consult or nagpa-test yung ating donor, client, or subject? Nagpa-test siya kay screening laboratory. Di ba? Yes. And so, kung sino yung kausap ng ating donor or ng ating client or individual, yun din dapat ang magbigay ng result. Nakuha? Yes. So in this instance, since we consider it as a referral of, or a referral by the screening laboratory to the confirmatory laboratory. So si confirmatory laboratory, ibibigay niya yung result kay screening laboratory. And then si screening laboratory, siya po ang magbibigay ng result kay donor or kung kanino man dapat ibigay yung result niya. Okay, ayan. So the laboratory that performed the screening test. Okay, the minimum information in the chain of custody form should include the following except. So, except po si pathologist of the laboratory. Okay, remember na, pag sinabi nating drug testing laboratory, di ba? It does not necessarily have to be headed by the pathologist. So later, sasabihin ko kung paano yung headship sa ating mga laboratories. Okay, ayan. So hindi po kasama si pathologist of the laboratory. Alright? So name and signature of people who had custody of the specimen, yes. Because just like what I have mentioned, whatever the result is of the drug testing, it has legal repercussions. Diba? Especially pag nag-positive yan, may legal consequences po yan. So that's why it's important for us to maintain the integrity not just of the specimen but of the entire testing procedure. Okay? Kaya nga tayo nagkakaroon ng chain of custody form or kaya tayo gumagamit rather ng chain of custody form. Okay, so date and time of collection, yes. Identifying information of the specimen, yes. Okay, like for example, yung temperature niya, kung ano yung physical characteristics niya, kung ano yung volume ng specimen natin. Okay, so yun po. Alright, next, Reiner is disposing samples in the laboratory. He saw a sample which was already confirmed for the presence of methamphetamine dated last month pa. Okay, last month. The analyst mentioned that the result of the test was not challenged. What should Reiner do with the sample? Dispose it. Okay, so again, ano ang retention policy natin pag positive? 15 days lang po. Yung sample na nakita niya last month pa. So 1 month na, 'di ba? 1 month na po ang nakalipas. Alright, so dapat dispose na po yung sample natin unless there is a request. Okay, unless there is a request to retain the sample, yes, so the maximum retention is 1 year. Okay, ayan. Alright. Okay, next, screening drug test reporting. So, paano natin nire-report ang screening drug test result, negative or positive? I think I forgot to mention class kung ano yung IRR natin. So, you can look for board regulation number 2. Okay, series of 2003. Yes, ang subject nito is implementing rules and regulations governing accreditation of drug testing laboratories in the Philippines. Okay, so again, anong agency ang naglalabas ng IRR? So we have your Dangerous Drugs Board. Okay, yes. So if you're going to look at laboratory report, I think nasa section 15 if I'm not mistaken. Okay, yes. So doon sa ating laboratory report po, lab report. Okay, so pag screening test result form, screening test result form, the test result form of an accredited laboratory shall be in the form prescribed by the DOH. Okay, and the reporting is as follows. Pag screening po, ang irereport natin ay negative, okay, or positive. Negative or positive. Why? Because your screening laboratories, they are only capable of providing qualitative results for your drug testing. So pag sinabi natin qualitative, you are merely detecting for the presence or absence of your drug or of the metabolites of your drug. Okay, so of course, presence is reported as positive. Absence is reported as negative. Okay, ayan. So, pag confirmatory naman po, pag confirmatory test result, okay, pag confirmatory test result po, tignan nyo ha, ang nakalagay po dun ay presence, okay, or absence. Ayan. So, presence or absence po ang nakalagay. Okay? Saglit lang class ha. Wait lang. Hindi nyo naman ito mapapansin. Diba? Hindi nyo naman siya napansin. Nawala actually ako. Okay. So, anyway, pag confirmatory test result po, presence or absence. Okay? Presence or absence and then the identity. Okay, and the identity of the drug or metabolite. Okay, and metabolite as well as its concentration. Okay, ayan. So presence or absence and the identity of the drug or metabolite as well as its concentration. So from this alone, we can already say that when we say confirmatory drug testing laboratory, okay? So these are capable, di ba? It is a laboratory that is capable of detecting or testing qualitative and quantitative presence of your drugs. Okay, so for qualitative and quantitative testing po siya. Alright, so the original copy of the test result form shall be given to the client or donor immediately upon its completion. Okay, all specimens with positive screening shall be submitted for confirmation before a final report will be issued. Okay, so magbibigay ka din po ng copies kanino? Kay DOH and to the requesting agency. Okay, yes. So, other copies of the said result form shall be furnished to the DOH, diba? Immediately to the DOH and the requesting agency. Okay, yes. And then, the drug testing laboratory shall retain 1 copy. So, in short, ilang copies ang i-prepare mo? 4. Isa para kay client, okay? Isa para kay DOH, isa para sa requesting agency, and then isa para sa iyo. Okay, ayan. All right. Yes. All right. Ayan. Ano pa bang sabi ko dito? Okay. So, screening drug test reporting, paano natin siya nire-report? Negative or positive. All right. Okay, next, validity of drug test certificate from the date of issue. So we have, actually ito, nasa batas mismo siya, na kay RA 9165 talaga siya. Okay? And if you are going to look at Article 3, yes, Article 3, Section 36, nakalagay doon, dangerous drugs test and record requirements. Okay, yes. So drug test certificates which are issued by the accredited drug testing center shall be valid for 1 year. Okay, so validity of drug test certificate from the date of issue, we have 12 months. Okay? Yeah, ganun lang. Okay, next, what is the purpose of adding a bluing agent to the toilet bowl in the collection area of a drug testing laboratory? Ito na yung i-explain ko. Ang difference ng dilution at saka adulteration. Okay, so ganito yan. So una, we have to know that when we say contamination, kumbaga siya yung pinaka-general term na ginagamit. Okay? Remember that the goal of specimen collection, especially for drug testing, is to preserve the integrity of the sample. Okay? So that masasabi natin na reliable yung result natin. So from sample collection pa lang, you should be able to preserve the integrity or maintain the integrity of your sample. Okay, so how do you maintain the integrity of your sample? You have to deter contamination, prevent or stop contamination from happening. So when we say contamination, so this would involve the presence of any substance which will interfere, diba, with the result. Okay, or with the result or with the outcome of the testing. Okay, yes. And the presence of contaminants will of course lead to erroneous results. Okay, yes. So basically, guys, there are 2 types of contamination that can happen in our sample. Okay, so the first one is referred to as your adulteration. And then the other one is of course your dilution. All right. So take note that when we talk about adulteration, okay, adulteration class. So the purpose of this is to add a particular substance in order to mask the presence of the drug. Okay, so masking, kumbaga. Okay, masking or obscuring, di ba? The presence of a drug or the metabolite, a drug or a metabolite. Okay, a drug or a metabolite. That's adulteration. So how do we prevent adulteration from happening in the laboratory? So number one, we have to conduct bodily search, diba? In order to avoid adulteration. Another, we ask our patient to leave his or her purse or briefcase. Okay, what else? Pinapatanggal natin. So we ask our clients to remove outer garments. So those are the ways by which we can, anong pangalan nito? Deter adulteration. Okay, yes. So bodily search, what else? Removal of purse or briefcase. Okay, what else? Removal of outer garments. Okay, so yan. The other one naman is dilution. Alright, so pag sinabi naman nating dilution class, ano ang nangyayari dito? So take note that in dilution, the purpose is to decrease, diba? Decreasing the concentration, okay, the concentration of the drug so that, okay, the drug so that po it becomes undetectable. Okay, the drug or metabolite. Okay, and then what will happen if you decrease the concentration of your drug or metabolite? So this will now become undetectable. Okay, undetectable by testing. Ay, Allah. Okay, siguro makikita nyo naman yan, di ba? Alright, so ganun. Tuloy natin dito. Okay, so decreasing the concentration of the drug or metabolite such that it becomes undetectable by testing. So that is dilution. So you see, adulteration is not dilution. Magkaiba po yan. And this has already been asked in the board exam. Ano daw ang purpose ng bluing agent doon sa toilet bowl natin? So this is to avoid dilution. Diba? Pag sinabi mong bluing agent, ito yung di ba may mga facilities na kulay blue yung water nila? Diba? Right? Yeah, yeah, of course. O kaya kulay green. Di parang sa SM. Okay? Minsan kulay green. But actually, di ba treated water kasi yung sa SM, kaya minsan iba yung kulay ba? Okay? Siguro okay lang na iba yung kulay. Basta wag iba yung amoy. Okay? Yeah. So anyway, ganun siya. Alright. And what are the ways that we can prevent dilution from happening? So in order to deter dilution of your specimen at the collection site, so we can make use of your toilet water agent. So, pag sinabi nating toilet water agents, a good example would be your bluing agent. Okay, so your toilet water agents, they may be placed in your toilet tanks or in your toilet bowl. Okay, what else? We can also secure, diba? Secure sources of water in the laboratory, or not really in the laboratory, but in the collection site. Okay, yes, secure, ano ba yan? Secure sources of water para hindi niya madagdagan yung kanyang urine sample. Okay, yes. Securing sources of water, like for example, your taps, your faucets, your showers, it should be done prior to collection. Okay, so those are the different ways by which we can deter dilution as well as adulteration. So again, ano ang purpose ng pag-add ng bluing agent? This is to avoid dilution. Okay, yung iba ang sinagot nila before to avoid adulteration. Okay, yes. So take note ha, magkaiba ang adulteration at saka dilution. Okay, so say for example, walang dilution, the next best, yes, actually pwede either B or C eh. Okay, however, meron kasing to avoid dilution dito. So this is more specific. Okay, this is a better answer as compared to B or C. Okay? Next, who among the following persons are authorized to collect the specimen of another person for drug testing? Okay, so in this case, who among the following persons are authorized? Okay, so take note that the following persons are not authorized actually. Okay, kaya none of the choices ang correct na sagot dyan. Hindi po pwedeng mag-collect ng specimen si complainant. Malamang, di ba, siya nga yung nagko-complain, tas alangan namang siya yung mag-collect doon sa ating client or donor. Investigator of the crime scene, hindi din pwede. Employer of the client. Okay, hindi din po pwede yung owner or administrator of the establishment. Right? So, yun. Pakidagdag na lang. Owner or administrator of the establishment. So, hindi din po siya pwede. Okay? So, in this case, ang correct answer ay none of the choices. Okay? Yes, nasagot na natin to kanina. If hair is to be used as a specimen for drug testing, it should be collected 1 centimeter above the scalp. Okay, next. What is the recommended volume of urine? What is the recommended volume of urine that should be, that should be collected for drug testing? 60 ml. Okay, remember, hindi pwedeng 30 ml kasi 30 ml pero dapat dalawang 30 ml. So, ibig sabihin, 60 ml pa din. Okay, so 45 ml, we learned this in clinical microscopy. But remember, the Philippines or your board exam for that matter, it is governed by the different laws that we have here in the Philippines. And RA 9165, diba, mandates that the volume of your urine sample for drug testing should be 60 ml. Okay, ayan. So, yes, syempre, before tayong pumunta sa Newborn Screening Act, so let me just add, yes, itong mga ina-add ko, actually, ito na yung mga ibang lumalabas, di ba? Okay. So, please, yes, para at least hindi na din kayo mahirapang mag-aral. Yes naman. Okay. So, screening laboratory, physical plant. As to the physical plant of your screening laboratory, it should have a floor area that is at least 20 square meters. Okay, at least 20 square meters floor area. Okay, with 10 square meters work area. So, ibig sabihin, yung work area natin, nandun na siya sa 20. Okay, baka mamaya i-add na to gawin yung 30. Hindi po. Ibig sabihin po, yung 10 square meters na work area, part na siya ng 20 square meters. Okay, so what are the facilities that should be seen in the screening laboratory? So it should have an exhaust fan, it should have a sink, and it should have a storage cabinet. Yes, kasi screening lab lang siya. Okay, so if for example, it is a part of a clinical laboratory, there is no need to provide additional 20 square meters floor area. So kung part po siya ng clinical lab, you just have to assign. Okay, you just have to assign or designate an area for drug testing. Okay, so the other one, of course, we have your confirmatory. So yung confirmatory lab naman natin, ano yung floor area na dapat? So it should be at least 60 square meters. Okay, 60 square meters na floor area. Okay, with 30 square meters na work area. Okay, yes. So those are naman the requirements for your confirmatory drug testing laboratory. So what are the different facilities na meron dapat ang isang confirmatory lab? It should have an exhaust fan. Okay, it should have a sink. It should have a stock room. Okay, and it should have an instrumentation room. Okay, yes. So another important area that should be present in either your screening lab or confirmatory lab is your receiving area. So remember that your reception or receiving area should be able to accommodate how many? At least, okay, 5 donors at a given time, regardless, okay, at a given time, regardless of the category. So, ibig sabihin, whether we are talking about a screening lab or a confirmatory lab, the bucket for donors, okay, the receiving area should be able to accommodate 5 donors at a given time. So, meaning, lahat sila nandoon. Diba? Yan. So, 5 donors at a given time. Okay? Yeah. So, those are the requirements for your screening and confirmatory laboratory as to the physical plant. Okay? Next naman is the headship of your drug testing laboratory. Okay? Ayan. So, first we have your screening lab. So, pag screening laboratory po, sino dapat ang mag-head? We have it should be headed by our clinical pathologist. All right. So, how many screening laboratories can a clinical pathologist handle? So, maximum of 10 screening laboratories, provided that the location of those 10 screening laboratories is physically visible. Meaning, talagang mababantayan ni clinical pathologist yung 10 laboratory na yan. Okay, so of course, we have to quantify what is physically visible. It should be within 5-kilometer radius. Okay, so say for example, sa Session Road. So nasa Session Road lahat, yung 10 screening lab na yan. Okay, hindi pwedeng yung isa nasa Aurora Hill, yung isa nasa Quezon Hill, yung isa nasa Trancoville. Okay, yan. Parang masyadong malayo naman na yata yun. Okay, so remember, it should be within 5-kilometer radius only. Okay, ayan. So if for example naman, the screening laboratory, so lagyan natin ng asterisk, if the screening laboratory is part of a clinical laboratory, so the head, di ba, ang clinical laboratory kasi, meron na siyang clinical pathologist, okay, as the head of the clinical laboratory. Ngayon, sino naman ang mag-head nung yung screening laboratory for drug testing? So the head is pwedeng, or the head may be a licensed physician. So pwedeng isang licensed physician, pwedeng isang chemist, pwedeng medtech, okay, pwedeng pharmacist, or chemist. Hindi chemist, chemical engineer. Okay, ayan. So I repeat, pag part po siya ng clinical laboratory, so it may be headed by a licensed physician, a chemist, a medical technologist, a pharmacist, or as a chemical engineer. Okay? Pag confirmatory lab naman siya, yes, medyo of course mas madaming requirements, or mas madami yung qualifications dapat ng headship ng confirmatory laboratory. Okay? So it should be headed, or it may be headed by a clinical pathologist with at least 2 years of active laboratory experience, okay, in analytical toxicology. Okay, in analytical toxicology. Okay? Sorry guys. Sorry. Yeah, more than 1 hour na. Alam mo, ulitin ko pa. Okay? The other one po, yes, the other one talaga. Yes, or if for example, walang clinical pathologist, so pwede naman po ang licensed chemist. Okay, licensed chemist with a master's degree. Yes, with a master's degree in chemistry, biochemistry, or a branch of chemistry, okay, and at least 2 years of active lab experience, okay, experience in analytical chemistry. Okay, ayan. So, yan naman po pag confirmatory laboratory. Alright, so those are the headship of your drug testing laboratories. Okay, so we're done with 9165. So now let us proceed to 9288. So actually very short lang ito. Okay, so 9288. So this is your Newborn Screening Act of 2004. So this was signed into law on April 7, 2004. So of course, una, we have to be able to define what is a newborn. So when we say newborn, this is a child, okay, from the time of complete delivery up to 30 years old. Okay, yun ang definition po ng newborn provided by RA 9288. Okay, so kailan po natin tinetest si newborn? So take note at testing should be done 24 hours of life. So ibig sabihin, dapat maka 24 hours muna yung newborn, di ba? And not later than 3 days. So 24 hours of life, not later than 3 days from complete, okay, delivery. So pag ang pinag-usapan naman natin ay newborn in the ICU, okay, so this newborn may be tested by 7 days of age. Okay, by 7 days of age. Alright. Another po, pwede nilang itanong ito sa Mtlbe or pwede din sa CC. So what is the sample that is utilized for newborn screening? Remember that the best answer would be your blood spot on filter paper. Okay, ito yung best na answer, blood spot on filter paper. Okay, or kung wala yan, hanapin nyo si heel stick. Okay, heel stick. Kung wala pa rin si heel stick, okay, hanapin nyo si capillary blood. Okay, ayan. So, kung wala po si blood spot on filter paper, hanapin nyo si heel stick. Kung wala si heel stick, hanapin nyo si capillary blood. Okay? Alright. So, punta na tayo sa mga questions. Which of the following congenital disorders is not tested as part of the newborn screening in the Philippines? So, remember that here in the Philippines, we test for 6 disorders. Diba? We have your congenital hypothyroidism, congenital adrenal hyperplasia, okay, phenylketonuria, tama. We have galactosemia, okay, and then we have glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase deficiency. Okay, and then the last one we have maple syrup urine disease. So MSUD, this was the latest addition to your newborn screening panel. Alright, so alin ang hindi po kasama dyan? We have your thalassemia. Okay, alam natin na naman ako class. Alright, next, which of the following mandates the addition of maple syrup urine disease screening as one of the screening panels for your newborns? So we have DOH Memorandum 2012-0154. Okay, so this was actually released on May 15, 2012. And by virtue of this particular memorandum released by the DOH, MSUD was now added as part of the newborns. Okay, so MSUD po, it appears to be the most common inborn error of metabolism here in the Philippines, as proven by some studies or researches conducted during this year, noong 2012 or prior to 2012. Okay? All right, so that's it for our newborn screening. Okay, next, Presidential Decree number 856 on Code of Sanitation. So take note that this is actually important in relation to your water analysis. Okay, yan. So we will be discussing it in that manner. Okay, so first we have false about the examination. Okay, false about the examination of drinking water from existing sources. Saglit lang ha, guys. Kasan na yun? Diba? Naghanap ako. Wala siya na ilagay. That's... okay. Andito pala, guys. Okay. Anyway, ayan. So, according to this particular anong pangalan nito? IRR, okay, which was actually released in order for us to have a more detailed guideline on your water analysis. Okay, water analysis po. All right, so safety and potability of drinking water. Nakalagay po doon. Okay, so take note that there are several examinations na dapat na i-perform natin. Okay, yes, in order for us to make sure na safe yung drinking water natin. Ito, nire-require ito pag kunwaring if you're gonna put up a water refilling station, yes, dapat meron kang, dapat ipa-test mo yung water. Yeah, yung water source mo. Ayan. Or yung water mismo na binebenta mo. Yes. This is to safeguard, or of course, the safety of the public. Okay, so bacteriologic examination, this is done as often, okay, as possible. And it should be not later, not later than 6 months po. Okay? Sorry. Ayan, so as often as possible, and it should not be later or longer. Not should be later or longer than 6 months. So in short, di ba, ganyan ang mga batas pinapa-complicate nila, pero simple lang naman ang ibig niyang sabihin. So ibig sabihin, pag bacteriologic examination, every 6 months. Yun na yung maximum, di ba? Every 6 months, maximum na po yun. Pag chemical examination po, ang nakalagay dun ay every 12 months. Okay? And then, of course, pag radiologic, okay, pag radiologic po, pag radiologic examination, ang nakalagay po doon ay yearly. Okay, so tama si radiologic at saka si chemical. Pag bacteriologic po, that should be every 6 months. Okay? All right. Next, a water analysis laboratory attached to a licensed clinical laboratory capable of performing bacteriological and chemical services is under the supervision of the clinical pathologist and sanitary engineer. Okay, so this is actually again based on IRR. So we have Administrative Order number 31 series of 1979. Okay, requirements. Itong administrative order na to, this provides guidelines on the requirements for the accreditation of water analysis laboratories. Okay, in order for us to be able to implement Section 12 of Chapter 2 of your PD 856 or the Code of Sanitation of the Philippines. Okay, so according to that, the examination of the drinking water shall be performed only in private and government laboratories which are duly accredited by the DOH. Okay, so the following are the requirements for the accreditation. So una, of course, or the one that we are concerned about in relation to the question is personnel. Makikita mo ito sa Section 2. Okay, Section 2 on personnel. So the operation of a water analysis laboratory shall be under the direction and supervision of sino? Licensed, okay, sanitary engineer. Okay, licensed sanitary engineer. So a licensed sanitary engineer can supervise up to 3, okay, up to 3 water analysis laboratories. So again, there is a specific requirement as to the location of the 3 up to 1 ko lang. Okay, up to 3 water analysis laboratories. Okay, so ano dapat yung location nila? They have to be contiguously located in a particular area. So, ibig sabihin, magkakalapit dapat sila. Okay, hindi naman pwedeng Baguio yung isa, tapos yung isa nandun sa La Union, and then yung isa nasa Pampanga, di ba? So, remember that the 3 water analysis laboratories, they have to be contiguously, okay, located in a particular area. Ito yung nasa batas kasi eh. Okay, contiguously located in a particular area. Okay, so if for example, if the water analysis laboratory is attached to a licensed clinical laboratory, okay, if part of a clinical laboratory in which the bacteriologic and chemical services are performed in the clinical laboratory, so yung water analysis laboratory natin na part, di ba, or na-attached, okay, attached. Parang mali yung term ko kasi dapat attached. So that you would be able to, you would be able to know na hindi talaga siya part, attached siya. Okay, attached. So meaning hindi siya under ng clinical laboratory. Attached siya sa clinical laboratory. So meaning the clinical laboratory, okay, is the one that performs the bacteriologic and chemical services. Okay, or chemical examinations rather of water. All right. So pag ganyan, pag attached po siya, dalawa. Okay, dalawa dapat ang head. Una is si clinical pathologist. Tama? Kasi attached nga siya sa clinical laboratory. So, sino ba ang head ng clinical laboratory? Si clinical pathologist and your licensed sanitary engineer. So, dalawa po sila. Yes, dalawa po sila na magiging head ng water analysis laboratory. Okay, ayan. So, in short, dito, clinical pathologist and your sanitary engineer. So 1 and 3 are correct. Okay, yes. So meron pong provision yung ating section 2. Sabi niya doon, if the above personnel. So ibig sabihin, si licensed sanitary engineer, kung wala po siya, are not present, sabi niya, pwede po si licensed chemist. Okay, pwede po si medtech, pwede din po si pharmacist. Okay, yes. So, etong mga to, sila yung merong provisional authority. Yes, sila po yung may provisional authority. And take note, they are allowed to head 1 laboratory po. Okay, so they are allowed to head 1 laboratory. Alright? Pag sinabi mong provisional class, it means temporary authority. Okay? Next, National External Quality Assurance Scheme, NEQAS, for water testing laboratories is conducted by, sinabi ko na to, East Avenue Medical Center. Okay, next. Ayan, how many water analysis laboratories can a licensed sanitary engineer supervise? 3. Okay, yes. Bubbles, a registered medical technologist, is being asked by her childhood friend Buttercup to head a water analysis laboratory in their hometown. Which of the following is a legal action that Bubbles is permitted to do? Accept the offer of Buttercup, RMTs are allowed to head 1 water analysis laboratory. So I already mentioned this. Diba? Pag provisional authority, meaning si chemist, licensed chemist, medtech, at saka si pharmacist, they can head 1 water analysis laboratory. Okay, so ethics na tayo. Ayan. Yung history, hindi ko na siya i-discuss ha. I-present ko lang yung tanong and then yung sagot. You can actually read any reference for the history. Oo. Siyempre, dapat alam natin si PAMET. You know, yung explanation naman ng PAMET nandun sa website po nila. Okay, so you can check it. An inpatient refuses to get his blood collected by the medical technologist. The medical technologist tried her best to explain the importance of the procedure but to no avail. Okay, so ibig sabihin ayaw pa rin ni pasyente. What principle is applicable in this situation? It's autonomy. Okay, ayan. So isa-isahin natin kasi lumalabas talaga itong mga ito. Itong i-represent ko na to na ethics ha. Yeah, so please ito ang reviewin natin. So when we say autonomy, okay, when we say autonomy, this is the principle of respecting the decisions made by those capable of making decisions. Yes, and this principle dictates that the patient has the right to refuse or to choose treatment. So in this case, dapat hindi mo siya pilitin, di ba? Pag sinabi niyang hindi, hindi, you have to respect. Okay, yes, you have to respect the autonomy of your patients, that they can decide, diba? They can make decisions. They are capable of making decisions on their own. Okay, so that is autonomy. Another, we have beneficence. Okay, so pag sinabi naman nating beneficence, this principle indicates that a practitioner should act in the best interest of the patient. Okay, so that is beneficence. The good outweighs the bad. Okay, beneficence po yan. The good outweighs the bad. May tinanong na dati before na gano'n. The good outweighs the bad, beneficence. Okay? And then the other one is non-maleficence. Okay? 'Di ba kaya nga maleficence ang ano niya, ang pangalan niya kasi masama. Okay? Harming other people ang ibig sabihin ng maleficence. But since non-maleficence ito, so this is the principle that a person should avoid doing harm or minimize harm as much as possible if it is unavoidable. Okay, that's why in the laboratory, we always have to consider the invasiveness of a particular procedure. Oo, like for example, di ba yung pagko-collect ng blood? Okay? So, kung nakita mo naman na kaya mong kolektan doon sa kanyang median cubital, doon mo siya kolektan. Okay, wag mo siyang ibabasilik. Kasi hindi mo type yung aura ng pasyente, 'di ba? Hindi pwedeng ganoon kasi you will be breaking the principle of non-maleficence, avoiding harm, 'di ba? Or minimizing harm. Okay, ayan. So ito din yung principle nung like for example kung culture ka ng urine, diba, midstream clean touch is already sufficient or adequate for your culture. Okay, yes. In this case kasi oo naman pwede namang catheter, 'di ba? Or pwede namang nakalimutan ko na yung collection ng urine, yung gagamit ka ng mahabang syringe tas diretso sa bladder. What's that? Wow, suprapubic pa. Hindi, nakalimutan ko na. Basta ganun. Okay? In this case, choosing, di ba, or allowing your patient, especially if you're gonna be a doctor in the future. So, kung pwede naman na yung midstream clean touch, then why not yun na lang? Di ba? Kasi nga non-maleficence nga tayo. Di ba? If it will be able to provide satisfactory evidence naman or results, okay, for the culture of urine sample, then why not? Yun na lang. Okay, yon. Kaya, lagi natin kino-consider yung invasiveness ng procedure natin. Diba? Like, for example, pag clearance, o bakit hindi ba inulin ang common na ginagamit? Kasi it's an exogenous substance. Diba? Yes, inulin, it has to be constantly administered to the patient. As compared, pag creatinine na lang ang i-determine mo, which is an endogenous substance. Okay, yan. Yung mga yan, non-maleficence po yan. Okay, so that's why, hindi po lahat ng reference methods natin, sila yung most commonly used because we have to key in or we have to consider non-maleficence. Okay, yes. Another, we have respect for dignity. Okay, so pag sinabi naman natin respect for dignity, this principle provides for all the necessary means of care, high regard for the person or the patient, and needed information to make a relevant decision. Okay, inform mo sila. Diba? Bigyan mo sila nung service that they deserve. Ako ha, ayan. Wag nating, wag tayong namimili, okay, or dapat kung ano yung nararapat sa kanila. Okay, yun ang ibigay natin. Okay, respect for dignity. And then last na ba to? Hindi pa. Justice. Okay, may isa pa. Alright, so justice naman, this is the principle of ensuring fairness and equity in the distribution of risks and benefits. This principle is concerned with the distribution of scarce health resources and the decision on who gets what treatment in terms of fairness and equality. Okay, a good example is, nung nagpabakuna tayo, di ba? There is a priority listing provided by the DOH. That is an example of justice. Okay, sino dapat ang mauna? Di ba? What else? Yung universal health care natin. Okay? So this law or this program by the government, it promotes justice because it brings healthcare services to those who need them more. Okay, ginagawa nating accessible, 'di ba? Yung mga healthcare services natin by virtue of your universal healthcare. 'Di ba? Ayan. So yung mga subsidized na mga tests, yung mga subsidized na mga procedures, that's a form of justice. Okay, ayan. So what else? So like for example, yung mga pagkakaroon natin ng special aid for senior citizens or for pregnant women or for PWDs. That is a form of justice. Okay? Yes, because you are bringing the service to them. Kumbaga, you are making it more accessible to them. Okay? Justice po ang tawag doon. Alright, and then the last one, we have truthfulness. Okay, truthfulness and honesty. Okay, so pag sinabi nating truthfulness and honesty, this is simply the dedication of a person to his job. Okay, that's reflective of being honest and concerned. Yan, yung pagiging honest and concerned natin. So like for example, anong pasyente, collect siya ng blood. Masakit po ba? Huwag mong sabihin hindi. Kasi masakit talaga, di ba? Yes po, pero tolerable naman. Pwede mo namang sabihin ganun. Hindi yung sasabihin mo na hindi masakit. Di ba? Kasi masakit siya talaga. Okay? And then the last one, meron pa palang last. We have stewardship. Okay, so this principle naman refers to the expression of one's responsibility to nurture and cultivate what has been entrusted to him. Okay, yes. Like for example, yung mga talents natin, di ba? A good example of stewardship is when you enhance your talents or your skills. Yes, by attending trainings, by doing your best to do your job, diba? That is stewardship. Okay, ayan. Lagi pong lumalabas yan, yung mga yan. Lalo na ang favorite nila dyan is beneficence and non-maleficence. Yun ang favorite nila. Pati truthfulness and honesty. Okay? Alright, so tayo, pwede na nating sagutan po. A father refuses to have his newborn infant undergo newborn screening. The medical technologist on duty discreetly collected a heel stick sample from the infant. Which of the following was or were violated by the medical technologist? Remember, parents can choose, diba? Yes, they have the autonomy to choose. Actually, pwede po silang mag-decline, okay, na mag-undergo yung baby nila ng newborn screening. So that is provided for by RA 9288 or your Newborn Screening Act. Okay? And then, autonomy. Yes, you have to respect the autonomy. So, ano yung mga na-violate ni medical technologies? Yung law natin, Newborn Screening Act, that is 9288, and then the autonomy of the father. Okay, so 2 and 4 are correct. Ito, confident Coney. A registered medical technologist working as a phlebotomist in a private laboratory is about to collect blood from an anxious 8-year-old boy for CBC. So in order to calm the boy, confident Coney told him that the venipuncture procedure is not painful. Okay, confident Coney is in violation of what ethical principle? Truthfulness and honesty. Kasi nagsinungaling siya. Sabi niya hindi masakit, pero masakit talaga. Okay, ayan. Bashful Bethany performed a routine urinalysis on the sample of a 16-year-old female patient. So during microscopic examination, she found out that the patient's sample is positive for Trichomonas vaginalis. Which of the following should Bashful Bethany do? Ayan, parang ano naman to, Besh, di ba? Yeah, common sense siya. Wala namang i-broadcast niya, di ba? Okay, talk discreetly. O, di ba? That's a form of gossiping. Okay, talk with the patient in a discreet area and then tell her about her results. Remember, we do not interpret results. Okay, that's the job of the physician or the doctor. Okay, so the best thing to do is indicate the presence of Trichomonas vaginalis in the patient's results. And then the doctor will be the one to talk with the patient. All right, next. Performing procedures for free and subsidized by PhilHealth for patients who are indigent and marginalized is governed by what ethical principle? It's just. Diba? Equity. Okay? Diba pag sinabi natin equity, you give more to those who need more. Right? You give more to those who are more needy. Pala. Okay? Next. A case was filed against Richie Rich, a practicing medical technologist for 10 years. According to the complaint, he performed and released an erroneous HIV result. Which of the following is the best course of action on the part of Richie Rich? Find a good lawyer and attend the hearings. Okay, you can no longer explain. Actually, meron na pong jurisprudence about this one. So, meron na pong case na nag-release ng false positive na results. And anong nangyari? Nagkaroon ng effects yun doon sa buhay ng pasyente. If I'm not mistaken, namatay yung tatay niya, nawalan siya ng trabaho because of that false positive result. HB-SAG yun eh. Okay? So, false reactive result sa HB-SAG. Ayan. Okay, yes. So, wag po tayong magre-release ng erroneous results. Or we have to be careful with the results that we release. Okay, ayan. Panunumpa ng professional. Ako si. Syempre pangalan yan. Nang. Okay? Hindi pook. Yes, hindi lugar. Of course, hindi eskwelahan. Dapat tirahan. Diba? Name and address po yan. Okay, yes. Panunumpa ng professional. Siyempre, best, hindi ko naman na pwedeng i-explain to. Okay, ayan. Kung ano siya, ganun na siya. Next, Mojo Jojo, a newly registered medical technologist, is eager to apply what he learned about proper venipuncture procedure. He collected from the median cubital vein rather than the basilic vein. What principle did Mojo Jojo apply in this situation? Non-maleficence. Okay? Because although venipuncture is painful, hindi naman niya kinolect doon sa basilic. Okay, yes. Probably because the median cubital vein is a better vein in this case. Okay, this question does not really entail or does not really mean na you should never collect from your basilic. 'Di ba? Eh di kung yun lang naman talaga ang magandang vein, hindi ka talaga confident sa median cubital, eh di you collect from the basilic vein or from the cephalic vein for that matter. Okay, ayan. Next, Kathleen Joy. Yes, ako yan. A kind and compassionate medtech prioritized a senior citizen in the queue. What principle did Kathleen Joy apply in this situation? Justice. Okay? Panunumpa ng professional, kasihan, nawa ako ng Diyos. Kung ano kasi yung nandun sa panunumpa, yun dapat. Okay, Diyos po. Kahit na alam natin na synonyms naman yung mga yan, may kapal, Panginoon, bathala. Pero ang nakalagay po kasi doon is Diyos. Okay. Ito i-add ko lang to. What does stat mean? Stat comes from the word statim, di ba? Or statim, which means immediately. So of course, we have to qualify how immediate is immediately. We have 30 minutes to 1 hour. Okay, 30 minutes to 1 hour. Alright, history, mabilis lang to. In mid-19th century, the production of aniline dyes paved the way for the microscopic study of bacteria. Okay. During the ancient times, the following credible observations regarding urine samples have been historically linked to diabetic patients, except number 4, intense yellow color of urine similar to honey. Wala naman pong ganyan. Okay, color does not really indicate, di ba? Or yeah, historically speaking, hindi ginamit ang color. Okay? Who is the current PAMET president? Romel Saceda. Okay, si Sir Romel. Alright, who is the founding father of PAMET? Crisanto Almario. Okay, the triangle in the PAMET logo symbolizes love, respect, and integrity. Okay. Guys, I'm sorry ha, kasi talagang ang pangit ng boses ko. Okay, wala na. Paggabi kasi talaga ganito na ang boses ko. Yes, okay. And then, sinisipon na din ako. Alright, but this is because I have allergic rhinitis. Okay, so yan. So I do hope that you will learn more dito sa discussion natin. Huwag kayong, yes, yeah, maintain nyo lang yung mga magagandang scores nyo today. Yes, so if for example, you think you need to improve, okay lang yan. Yes, we still have tomorrow. Okay, yes, as long as the drive is there, okay, the willingness is there, the open-mindedness is there, the correct mindset is there. Yeah. Okay, I'm sure na you will be rewarded. Okay, yes. So, kayang-kaya nyo yan. Okay, kayang-kaya nyo yan. Yes. Yes naman, baka bukas may maka 100 na, di ba? Okay, so thank you so much for listening. Yes, and for always doing your best in yeah, in every challenge that is that is given to you. Okay? Yeah, you should see this as a challenge and as an opportunity for you to learn. Sabi ko nga, it's better to realize that there are still things that you do not know now that you are still in your internship too, so that you can do something about it, or we can do something about it. Yes, that's correct. We, ikaw at ako. Okay? Or ikaw at saka yung CI na involved. Diba? Ayan. Magtulungan tayo. Kasi this will, of course, make the internship more productive, not just for you, but also for us. Okay, so thank you so much. And yes, galingan natin. Okay, bye! Bye po!